Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all doing well. And today, my friends, we're back with a tournament showdown with Bretonnia and Grand Cathay. So recently, I played in a single faction tournament using Bretonnia, and man, oh man, we had one that was about a week prior to that, and there was a really high-level Korean player who came in, and he was basically just crushing a lot of really good players on strong factions with Bretonnia. So I basically just went to the drawing board, copied exactly what he did, and I was like, let's give it a try, because maybe Bretonnia has some untapped potential. Now, what I was doing with Bretonnia before having seen him play is just using trebuchets and cav and mostly cheap infantry like men-at-arms, but what he did differently was bringing either mass foot squires and battle pilgrims and polearms, like actually good quality Bretonnian infantry, pushing up using Fey Enchantress and Green Knight or a Paladin combo, and then following up with mass cav. So very different than how at least I was trying to make Bretonnia work, which was relying heavily on the cav in my opening and using trebuchets to kind of deal with the enemy infantry. So in this case, using foot squires to deal with enemy infantry, battle pilgrims, and Fey Enchantress, and then pulling in with cav pressure. Man, oh man, I was so inspired because I really like playing Order Tide. Like, Empire is my main. I would say Dwarves are one of my mains as well. And I would love Bretonnia to be like the trifecta in there until, we get a little Kislev DLC or something like that. But yeah, honestly, I think Bretonnia is a really underrated faction, and I think that that player, unfortunately, I don't know his name. I would love to. He's on the leaderboard. You guys can go check him out. We gave him a custom Green Knight avatar, but he really inspired me to play a lot of Bretonnia. So if you're listening to this, man, shout out to you. And yeah, they're just such a cool faction. I'm glad that the Foot Squires can work. And back onto the matchup here. So this was with myself and Platypus, and it's Foot Squires versus Jade Warriors. Foot Squires win that easy. Anti-infantry, armored, Jade Warriors won't do much damage to them. Peasant Archers, in theory, counter Iron Hail Gunners very effectively. The one thing I would have to watch out for is Jade Crossbows to really wreck me pretty bad, but thankfully he didn't bring any of those. So we got Fey Enchantress and Green Knight, and they're just designed to move in, heal, drop Dwellers below, get those Mortis Engines, really cause a lot of problems for sure. Now, the Cathay army is going to be Jade Warriors, which are just super good. I mean, Jade Warriors will trade very well into pretty much all the Bretonnian infantry, with the exception, of course, of the Foot Squires. We got Crane Gunners in the back to deal with heavy cav, and Grand Cannons as well as the Grand Cannon. So you can see a lot of players are really kind of, expecting mass cav from Bretonnia in the opening, but if you just come out with these huge zergs, soften them up a little bit, and then pull the cav in later, it seems to be a very strong strategy. And also it allows Bretonnia to get super aggressive, because you can get your reinforcements there much quicker than your opponent can. With your cav, so you can be a little bit overextended into their territory, and if your entire reserve is not, is just cav units, they're going to get there quick. Another thing that I want to point out before I get into the deep analysis of this game is the fact that Lance Formation is really good. So use Lance Formation. A lot of Bretonnian players, even like top 16 players in the world who are using Lance Formation, are not using, who are using Bretonnia aren't using Lance Formation. And it really allows you to penetrate through and get to your targets. Now, Fey Enchantress is going to be dropping the Mist of the Lady on these units, and in the front, Green Knight's going to be attacking Jade Warriors. Does also give Bretonnia a source of terror, which, isn't irrelevant. The Cathay units are not ITP. And the Archers are trading well. The Haggard Peasant Archers shooting into the Peasant Archers. We both have Peasant Archers. We're exchanging fire. But the Foot Squires are in a winning fight. Here we do also have some Peasant Bowmen shooting into the back against the Crane Gunners here, but good cannon shots coming in from Platypus. He immediately sees the threat, and the defenders of Flare-to-Lee get their bread buttered. I should have taken the high ground, so I really messed up pretty badly there. And the Peasant Horsemen here on the side are going to be getting quite a bit of damage in the backfield on top of my units. I was very focused in trying to penetrate through with the infantry and also getting the Green Knight into the backfield. And we do also drop the Dwellers below on top of the Crane Gunners. Should be able to finish them. It's a very expensive spell, costs 17 wins of magic, but if you do catch those units, it's just, kind of opening up a little bit of space. But overall, beautiful play from my opponent. He's really owning me here. Storm of Shadows going down, and my defenders of Flare-to-Lee getting hammered pretty good. But now we get Knights Errant coming in, another cheap cav unit. Lance is couched for the lady. Forgot to switch them to Lance Formation. I did do it. It takes a little bit of getting used to. I think Bretonnian mains are probably very apt at that, but it's something I need to practice more. So Archers shooting in, countering Iron Hail Gunners relatively well. Value trading is favored a little bit for Grand Cathay, but that doesn't matter so much considering I have healing and he doesn't. So a lot of the damage value is on the Green Knight, but I can just heal that with Earthblood, so it's not really a big deal. A couple Jade Warriors overextending, and the thing about this playstyle is even if you have a slight value deficit versus your opponent, you can basically press them hard, and if you're maintaining it close enough and you have healing, you're going to be winning on the objectives, right? So right now there's a double cap going on. Knights of the Realm going to be coming in, and they will be hammering down these Jade Warriors. So it felt pretty good. Jade Warriors getting buttered up pretty good. Though these guys are not like an amazing anti-infantry tool, if you just catch an infantry unit, embrace in the open, should be able to get some work done. So Cathay is definitely losing out on a lot of the infantry fights. Foot Squires are trading up all across the board, although here it looks like we could get pushed back a little bit, I would suspect, because of some magic. And the Green Knight's just on the hunt. One thing that's really good for Cathay, though, is that the Dragon-Blooded Lord here does have magic damage, But, you know, the Green Knight kind of got reworked with all ethereal units where basically he has 60% physical resist. It used to be higher and he had lower HP, but now that he has higher HP, he's a little bit less like, oh my god, magic is just going to kill him. Look at this play from Platy. It's pretty cool. Summoning the Ancestral Warriors, which, do they do magic damage? They better. Yeah, they do. Okay, so he's got the Green Knight a little bit surrounded there, and I have to say that felt pretty bad. I was like, oh my god, am I going to lose the Green Knight right now? Up on the high ground, peasants holding on, and the warriors, the foot squires, have been able to break through the front line, so they're going to start moving in. We also got the Knights of the Realm pushing into the backfield as well, and right now the Enchantress, I think, is going to be dropping an Earthblood to try and keep the Green Knight alive. I have to tell you, I was frenzied just clicking here, trying to get the Green Knight out of this position. Thankfully, only a couple of the Jade Warrior or Ancestral Warriors are attacking, so the magic damage isn't really terribly pertinent right there. And Knights of the Realm now going to be moving into the backfield, trying to get on top of the cannons, but once again, Platy is able to muster a good defense here. But Foot Squires are pushing, and, you know, I have all three objectives, so the aggressive play really is paying huge dividends. And check out the new UI stuff. You can see that the Bretonnians are holding the objectives here. You can see a little logo next to those. Shout out to Cleason for the glorious mod. So, Peasant Bows shooting into the infantry here. Should be able to clean them up, and the Foot Squires, even 50 Foot Squire models, will probably defeat these peasants. And in the backfield, Grand Cathay is getting its business together. We got Iron Hill Gunners forming ranks. Both cannons are online. Harmony is active. There's a lot of things looking pretty good. But again, I do have good battlefield control. I have more Foot Squires coming out, and I do also have the Cav. So as the battle becomes more frenetic is when Bretonnia really starts to shine, right? Your opponent has to push out and get the objectives. Well, there's going to be sudden openings because the Jade Lancers will trade downward into Bretonnian cavalry pretty heavily, right? Like my Cav are going to be very happy here. So we got more peasant mobs coming out, Knights Errant, just sending out as many Cav as we possibly can, while our initial army continues to fight. Enchantress dropping a Dweller's Blow, and this was a big one. We nailed quite a bit back here. We were able to get the Iron Hill Gunners, the beat up Iron Hill Gunners, and we didn't quite get the cannon. That was kind of in my purview, but we did shut down one of the big gun units, which felt pretty good. And again, value lead for Grand Cathay is extremely deceiving. A lot of that value is on Green Knight. That's a 2,000 gold unit, and he's still at full combat efficiency. So even if you get him a little bit beat up, like aside from the wounds, he's still going to be generating big value for me. So that value isn't really like accurate. Like in reality, it's probably like a value favor for me, if not equal at this point. So, Knights Errant fighting, Chalice of Potions trying to drop it on top of the cannon, but good micro. My opponent able to dodge that. In the backfield, looks like there's some something sitting back there. I'm not sure what that is. It's some Peasant Long Spearmen, so lucky for me, those things were forgotten about. And the Foot Squire is able to win on the side objective. Green Knight still just being a pain. Earthblood's going to be going down, and he's happy to just fight those units all day. Green Knight has just been an absolute terror in the night. As Knights Errant start to push up here, we get Peasant Mobs as well as the Pox Arrows sitting on the middle objective. Jade Warrior Halberds are on their way up. But at this point, you can see the new timer. Check that out. Oh, looks like it's 5 minutes and something. Okay, so you can't quite see it, but just over 5 minutes until victory. And Cathay is not good at pushing you off objectives. I mean, if they have a big enough value lead, maybe. But again, like I said, most of their value is tied up in beating down the Green Knight over and over, as well as the Enchantress, both of whom are going to have access to Earthbloods. And now we get a Cav unit in the backfield. Knights Errant jumping on top of the cannon. So one cannon is finally going to be shut down for the lady. There they go, on top of the cannons. And they are going to feel the wrath of Bretonnia. So one cannon does fall, and the Jade Lancers, they should actually beat Knights Errant in combat. It's pretty close in terms of a stat line, but the Jade Lancers do cost 100 more, and it looks like in the middle there's going to be a push coming in for Grand Cathay, but it's going to be a tough push for them considering Enchantress Mortis can come in and just stack on top of like peasant mobs and things like that, and really do some heavy lifting. So Peasant Bowmen going to be shooting into the Jade Warriors. In the backfield, we do have the cannons. Look like they're secure. The Jade Lancers have done their job, but now Questing Knights are coming in, the big boys of Bretonnia. And again, I did Lance Formation with about half the Cav this game, but you really need to make sure you do it with all of them. The bonus you get, just like the charge bonus of plus 40%, is pretty insane, right? Like 40% of 41 is going to be a pretty decent little jump right there. But nonetheless, we do charge into the Jade Lancers as well as these Warriors here. Questing Knights are basically designed to hard counter like all of these units. So if I can break through this formation, then move into the backfield, that should be nice for us. Cathay doing a good job contesting the objective, so the middle's probably going to go back to Grand Cathay here. So I'm suddenly on the back foot a little bit. And I'm starting to sweat bullets, I'm not going to lie. We do have the Foot Squires over here, going to be chasing down the Jade Warriors, and more peasants as well as Jade Lancers on the side objective, though Foot Squires might be able to hold them. We do have some more Questing Knights coming in, so really the quest for the lady is on, and I'm going to need them to really win me some objectives, because losing this middle point is not going to be feeling good. Enchantress mortising down these Jade Warrior Halberds. We do get the Questing Knights into the backfield, and this is a big moment because one cannon's going to be shut down, and then we can surge on over and shut down the other Grand Cannon. And aside from like Halberds, Cathay's going to have to summon, like, they don't really have anything they can summon that can defeat Questing Knights easily. Questing Knights are just armor-piercing monsters. They have really good stat lines there. Side objective is still owned by my forces, but Iron Hail Gunners and Crane Gunners moving up, trying to change that. And the questing knights here buckling the formation of the peasants, and it looks like those spears from the corner of the map have made their exodus back to the side point, so they are going to be able to grab that. As far as the value, 9.8 to 11.4, but again, I feel like the true nature of the battle is very, very even. We have questing knights in the back on top of the cannon, so they get on top of the cannon crew there, and they are going to butter some bread. So that cannon is getting shut down. And we'll see what's going to happen. We will see indeed. Spears and foot squires kind of pressing in the backfield a little bit. And though they did get the middle point, you know, Cathay is one of those factions like dwarves that when they get spread out, they start to struggle. They don't have the harmony anymore. And these halberds, though they're doing well, are perpetually being drained by the Mist of the Lady. So we just need to basically throw crappy units at them. Throw peasant mobs and just let the peasant mobs absorb the damage while the Fey Enchantress just goes bananas and really, really wears them down. Although, a blunder on my part, letting the Fey Enchantress get surrounded here was a big, big mistake. On the side point, looking pretty good for Cathay. They got a couple anchored infantry, and Cathay is hard to move too, but the questing knights in the back certainly winning the game. Like, they're just doing so good. Both cannons are shut down. They're also trading upwards into peasant horsemen and breaking off any nearby infantry while foot squires continue to trade. So I really see the style of like opening Bretonnia infantry heavy, which then allows your cavalry to shine. If you open with cav, I feel like they're too vulnerable in the initial trades, but once you soften your opponent up with an initial push and bringing in the cav, it really, really seems to be the way to play. So here you can see, yeah, I like the little timer. It's kind of hard to see. I guess you'd have to make the text a little bit stronger, but about 8 minutes and 11 minutes here. So you could see the general mark of how long you would need to hold the objectives with the current status quo of the game. Questing knights in the backfield after the peasant horsemen. We do have foot squires and spears moving back there. And on the side point, the green knight's going to be moving over. And yeah, again, going to be tough to kill. Like, yeah, he has the wounds profile. Wounds for SCMs is a thing in Warhammer 3, but it's probably going to terror out some of these guys and allow the foot squires to push through. In the meantime, we re-secure the middle with the mortis. Both halberds are down. All cannons in the backfield have been swept by the chaddest of Chad knights as the questing knights continue to ride around. That's going to be game blouses there. GG, well played. My opponent does drop at that point, so that was a fun one. And really, I mean, I think Bretonnia is actually good. Like, in this tournament, I played against several very strong players. Platypus is a very strong player, and then the next round I had a Bretonnian victory over Vampire Coast. And then I think I got pretty far in it. I got to like the top 4, and then I lost the Vampire Counts, but it was a razor close game. It was like Bretonnia could have won it. Like, I really feel like they're a good faction. Very micro-intensive, of course, once the game gets going, but yeah, I feel like they have a lot of potential, and I'm excited for people to start exploring them because they're such a cool faction. I hope they become good. Green Knight didn't get crazy value, neither did the Fey. I think a lot of it came down to the Cav getting in the backfield, and yeah, it was kind of a weird one. Yeah, I guess things just pushed them along. And the cannons, of course, crazy value on those, crane gunners. But yeah, none of the Cathay army, I would imagine, got crazy good value outside of the cannons either. So, GG, well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Here's the reinforcements if you guys want to see the army layout. And that is it for today.